What is up, everybody? Welcome to the MMA Engine. We're going to be breaking down the new co-main event for UFC 272. We have Rafael dos Anjos going against Renato Moicano. I am here with Lou, the brains behind this operation. Lou, what is up? You looking forward to this new co-main event?
I am, and this is the new way of UFC now is with COVID. Card subject to change happens a lot, and there's a lot of questions about this main event for about 3 hours. I'm glad they got it sorted out, and a good spot for Dos Anjos, I think. Good opportunity for Moicano. I have a pretty strong take on it, but interested to break this down, and maybe you'll change my mind. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess we'll just start out. I mean, if nobody knows yet, Lou, this is something you've created here. We are actually on the website for MMA Engine. You want to just talk a little bit about what you did here?
Sure. So this is the what you're looking at right now is the broadcast view. It's part of a program that we make for the content creators. It's a way just to present, to show all the data, your notes, your decision, like the way you're picking a lot of the stats. If you want to look it up, I'll display right now. Your stats, your fantasy stats, your fight log, your notes section. I don't want to spoil it by giving away that, but I guess it's too late. Some odds, some navigation of different fights, basically anything you want for your presentation. This is just a look and feel that we've chosen for this particular card. The next time we do one, it will probably look very different than this because that's the flexibility of the studio. But really happy to get that out to the public in the next week or two.
Yeah, it was really cool. Me and Lou were backstage, just like creating the presentation together. It was pretty fun there. But I do want to shout out the chat before we get started and break down this fight. We have Paul in the chat saying, "Oi, what is up, Paul?" We have Wheezy with a big oi, and then we have Chris as well with an oi, and then he loves RDA Stash, and yeah, you gotta love RDA Stash. And then another oi from the MMA Engine. But I say we break this down. Lou, we'll talk about the fight. We'll talk about some betting as well. And I guess we'll start with the tail of the tape. So we have the tail of the tape there on the screen. We see that Rafael dos Anjos is 37 years old. He is 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. Renato Moicano is 32 years old, 5'11" with a 72-inch reach. We'll take a look at their last 5 fights. Rafael dos Anjos, he had a decision loss to Kamaru Usman 5 fights ago. He had a submission win against Kevin Lee, a decision loss to Leon Edwards, a decision loss to Michael Chiesa, and then a decision win against Paul Felder. And that fight was, I believe, a while ago. I don't think he's fought in a while, but he's stepping in back here at, 37 years old now. Renato Moicano, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. He had a knockout loss to the Korean Zombie, a submission win over Damir Hadzovic, a knockout loss against Rafael Fiziev, a submission win against Jai Herbert, and then a submission win against Alexander Hernandez. So, Lou, I'll start with you on this. I guess we'll start with the notes you have. Anything really stick out to you in this fight?
Well, it's almost hard to look at the stats without looking at like a lot of the things that are going on around it. But just purely looking at the stats, there's a couple things that stand out. One is Moicano just does not like to lose by decision. He does not get paid by the hour. He's in there and he's going down to shield. The one thing that was interesting, though, is I would have expected his defensive takedown percentage to be a little bit worse than it was. And I would have expected maybe a little higher output from Dos Anjos, but that's not the case. It seems like Moicano's takedown defense is traditionally 78% pretty solid, especially in this fight. But the other big statistical thing that we have seen is the overall ratio, which is the strength of schedule, wins and losses. I mean, it without even looking at the stats, but Dos Anjos clearly has fought the better competition here. One of the big things to me about Moicano, if you look at his fight history, is, and this is great if you're a gambler, is he seems to be very predictable in terms of his equity. As a favorite, he does all right. The fights he's won, Alex Hernandez, he should win these fights. Yeah. The guys he's losing to are Aldo. He's losing to top-tier champions. And so it makes it predictable. Now, it depends on how you value Dos Anjos. Do you think Dos Anjos is a top-tier champion? Well, he's been ranked in the top 5 since 1983, so I think he is. But that's kind of how I look at this without getting into the stuff surrounding the fight that's not in the stats. What do you got?
Yeah, so my breakdown on this is definitely narrative based, because the narrative surrounding this fight is something to mention. And really on both sides, there's things that, a lot of red flags, a lot of things that scare me. I mean, let's start with the obvious here, right? Like Renato Moicano, shout out to him stepping in on 4 days' notice. That's awesome. He saved the co-main event, but my goodness, the dude was on, they said like 19 hours of travel. Just got to Las Vegas today. He has to cut like 20 pounds in 4 days. Like those are all things you don't want to hear. And then there's those question marks like, has he been training? Is he prepared? Is he prepared for a 5 round fight? You got to imagine not. And then like you got to look at it into the fact like if this was a 3 round fight, which if it was a 3 round fight, Moicano has a full camp. Both guys have a full camp. Then it's I think it's a close fight at that point. But factoring in Moicano, 19 hours of travel, cutting 20 pounds in a couple of days, just arriving in Vegas. It's just a very tough ask to come in here and beat a guy like Rafael dos Anjos, who was literally training for a 5 round fight. So I think the narrative about it is probably the biggest thing for me. I went through and looked at Moicano's record, and we did bring up the strength of schedule a little bit. I wanted to take a look at his last couple wins. His last 3 wins: Alexander Hernandez, Jai Herbert, and Demir Hadzovic. Not the best level competition, but like you said, he is losing to very good guys. The Korean Zombie, Jose Aldo, Rafael Fiziev, Brian Ortega. So when he's losing, he is losing to very good guys. Another thing I noticed, and I think this is interesting, is Renato Moicano has not seen the 3rd round in 8 fights. The last time he saw a 3rd round was in his win against Calvin Kattar, and we know how tough Calvin Kattar is. So we have Moicano, who's coming in on short notice, not prepared for a 5 round fight, has not seen the 3rd round in 8 fights, and he's going up against a guy in RDA who's going to push a very high pace, whether it's wrestling, whether it's striking. And I just think it's a tough ask to come in here. What are your thoughts on the whole narrative of Moicano, right? Like it's a tough ask, right?
It's a very tough ask if it was on a full camp, because I think this is kind of a terrible matchup for him. But yeah, it's crazy to me that I mean, I don't know if you want to get to the betting side of this or whatever, but just we had talked about this, even just looking at it on paper. If he had a full camp, I would have thought this line would still be a little narrow. But with all that's going on, and I mean the travel, it's not the physical that you're not in camp those last couple of days. There's something to be said, especially if you're a pro like this Anjos. You're in camp for months, and it's a single goal for months. Like, Moicano just went through this. It's a singular goal for months. And then there's a release. You hit the goal and there's a release. And it's very hard to go from out of fight mode right back into it in, 72, 96 hours.
Yeah, definitely.
We've not seen dudes. Recent history says this is not a good idea. I mean, forget about the Makhachev fights, with Hooker and Green. Even before that, we had Lupe Godinez, who fought for, and she had like a 1 minute, 2 minute win. I might have gone longer than that, but it was a first round win. She comes back the next week against, I don't know if it's necessarily a better opponent, but a bigger opponent, and was just gassed. She had nothing to offer. And, one of the big things is not just that you're out of the camp, but you're not coming back the next week to fight somebody worse.
Yeah.
You're coming back because you got an offer to step in on short notice for a better opportunity with no fight camp. And, unless you're Kazmat or Chris Lieben, it's typically not a good idea to take these fights on a 2-week, 1-week turnaround, but good for him for doing it. I mean, yeah. He's going to get paid.
I mean, we got to talk about this. I mean, what a step up in competition. Yeah, you go out there and submit Jai Herbert, who, by the way, is going to get smashed by Topuria in a couple weeks. Can't believe they sanctioned that fight. And then he goes out there and, smashes Alexander Hernandez. And now he's going against RDA, who's fought, guys like Leon Edwards. He's fought guys like Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, Robbie Lawler, Tony Ferguson, Anthony Pettis, Nate Diaz. He's fought the who's who. It is a big step in competition here. So, yeah, let's talk about these odds a little bit. So this honestly kind of surprised me. I kind of figured, it'd be Dos Anjos around -200, and I think he opened up around there, but it's been nothing but Moicano love, which it's interesting because you factor in all the narratives, you factor in the travel, the weight cut, how's he going to look on the scales? RDA's prepared for a 5-round fight. Moicano is most definitely not. And then there's money coming in on Moicano, and I think I might know why that may be. And I think it's because we have not seen Rafael dos Anjos since November of 2020. It's been a while. Rafael dos Anjos is now 37 years old. I get that he's getting up there in age. And then as far as Moicano, we just saw him. We just saw him, and he looked phenomenal. But he looked phenomenal against Alexander Hernandez. So this is definitely a step up in competition. A lot of things going against Moicano. I think Moicano is great, by the way. I mean, I like his striking, a very high volume, very long, very rangy. But 5 rounds with RDA, who by the way is very, very tough. The last time RDA was finished was against Eddie Alvarez in 2016 by punches. Moicano has 0 knockouts on his record. The last time that RDA was submitted was I literally don't know. Oh, I think he was submitted back in like 2010. So it's like over 10 years. So is Moicano going to come in here and submit RDA in short notice? I just don't see it. So there are some red flags with RDA, the age, the layoff, and all that. But again, is Moicano going to come out here and submit Dos Anjos early? Is he going to knock him out? I'm just not too sure.
I'm not sure if he's even going to go for a very grapple-heavy game. I mean, I got to think that he knows he's got a limited window here.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably got 10 minutes to win this fight. Because if it goes past that mark, I mean, all bets are off. RDA traditionally comes, he's ready. He's always prepared. So he's not going to come in this. He's not taking this lightly. And he may just try to drag it into deep water. I mean, obviously, if you're looking at round props, that's something to consider. As I had put in my notes here, I'd like, well, I can't resist a good round prop. That.
I know.
But, we're talking about a guy who, like you just said, he doesn't get to the 3rd round very often. I got to think that long as this fight goes, RDA is just going to start teeing off on him. And with 25 minutes to work, he gets him out of there at some point. That's one bet. That's one way I'm looking at it. And the plus 210, I think, is crazy good odds. I would also look at some alt unders when they come out on your books. Under 4.5 right now was it -1? Is -125. I got to think you could look at under 2.5 at probably plus 180, 190. Easy. Might be worth the poke. Then you get Moicano's, you get his win condition of an early, I don't know, flash standing guillotine. What does Bert think?
Who?
What does Bert think?
Who's Bert?
Bert. It's Bert MMA. He's like whatever he tells me. I just, that's
Isn't he that 13-year-old?
He's going to be 14 soon.
Oh, there you go. I don't know what Bert thinks, but yeah. And then I also noticed that in the Hernandez fight, it looked like Moicano was slowing down in the second round. Yeah, he hurt him bad and then submitted him, but it did look like he was kind of slowing down in that second round. So so we will talk about some props here and some betting as well. I did place a bet on the under 4.5 rounds, and it looks like that line has moved a little bit, but still, I really do like that under 4.5 rounds. When I saw that the fight doesn't go to decision was sitting on 5 dimes at like plus 120, I was like, do they know that this is a 5-round fight? Because if it's a 3-round fight, yeah, I mean, sure, it could potentially go the distance, but those extra 2 rounds, I'm just not sure about it. So as it sits now on 5 dimes, they have the fight doesn't go at -110. I really like that. They have the under 4.5 on 5 dimes at -103. I like that a lot on Bet Online. Even the 4.5 is -125. I like that. And like you said, we have RDA inside the distance sitting at plus 210. I don't hate that. If you like Moicano, you probably bet him inside the distance as well. Anything you're looking at in particular in terms of a bet for this fight?
Well, what I just highlighted is interesting because, these odds are, so this is all pulled from DraftKings book. And I don't know what I just realized, what are they thinking if the fight doesn't go the distance is a little better odds than the under 4.5 rounds? Like, you're giving me the 2.5 minutes? All right.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll fix that in by the time this video is over, I'm pretty sure. But, I mean, as the time props, I'm with you all the way. I just can't see it going 25 minutes. I mean, I don't know how Moicano wins this fight. I don't know that he's going to have a ton of success with the grappling. He doesn't have the stand-up advantage. And I agree. Not only did he not look good against Hernandez, was he starting to get winded. The end of that first round, he looked if this was Pride, I know it's not, but
yeah,
if there weren't breaks and he had to go a continuous 10-minute round, I wonder, because Hernandez didn't look gassed. He was just outclassed. He was outclassed talent-wise. But he was energetic. Yeah, Moicano definitely looked a little bit sapped. So I just can't imagine what is going to happen when Dos Anjos hits him with one body shot. Yeah. Just takes all of it out of the tank.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that RDA inside the distance though, like plus 210 Moicano, we have right there. He's never lost by decision ever. Both of his all four of his losses are inside the distance, 3 by knockout, and then 1 by submission. He's coming in on short notice. He's cutting like 20 some pounds in a couple days. I do want to see Moicano on the scales. I want to see how he looks. But yeah, 5 rounds. I don't like it for Moicano there. Any like final thoughts on the fight here, and who are you picking? And
Yeah,
then also what round?
I do have one more thought on this.
Okay,
So
good.
this is something I just wanted to bring up. So Moicano, typically he used to fight at 145 a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and then he moved up to 155. So this is going to be the heaviest he's ever fought at. I know it doesn't seem like a lot. It's a major thing when Dos Anjos is a guy who fought at 155, said to hell with this, I'm going to 170. Fought literally everybody, like every top guy at 170, no problem. I'm not saying he won everything, but this guy fought the best at 170, and then he came back down and said, all right. Like, he has experience fighting at higher weight classes, and I definitely think that is a huge having the championship experience, having the being able to fight at that weight, and knowing, like, you got to know yourself to fight at that weight. There's huge advantages for this going forward. Everything is in RDA's favor. I like the in the distance at plus 210. My initial thought was to do a round 1 prop just because of how these short notice fights have gone, but I've thought, like, I think it might be smart for RDA to really just draw him out.
Yeah.
And sap that cardio. I mean, we'll have to see what the round 3, 4, and 5 sprinkles are, but I think they're definitely worth looking at. And I think you'd go for a K. I'd opt for the knockout over the sub in this case. But
Like a TKO potentially as well.
yeah, I think that's just, RDA is no spring chicken, and I think if he can just tee off him on the feet, not expend the energy going for takedowns, he will. Now, what do you got? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going RDA again. Like the line, it kind of surprises me. I'm curious to see where it goes. Like if more money keeps coming on Moicano, I mean, might just take a shot on Dos Anjos straight at this point. But yeah, like I said, I already bet the under 4.5. I really like that spot. Like you said, maybe sprinkling those 3, 4, and 5 for Anya. I just don't think that Moicano can go the full 5 rounds. Again, he's not been to the 3rd round in 8 fights. He's never been to a 4th round, right, Moicano?
No.
He's never been to a 4th round. Whereas
Well, he's never been in a 5-round fight. At least not.
Yeah.
At least maybe on the. I mean, I don't know if he's on another league,
Yeah.
but
you have RDA who's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 8. He's 9, like 8 or 9 times where he's been to like the 4th or 5th round. So yeah, I think it's a solid spot for RDA. But again, he's 37 years old. Don't want to get too involved with it, but I really do like those unders. I do want to shout out the chat before you head out of here. We have Jeffrey saying, "Oi, what is up, Jeffrey?" Monk, what is up, Monk? How you doing? Monk will be posting a video tomorrow, some salary video. Cannot wait for that. Look at that broadcast mode. Yeah, it looks very sweet. Uncle Wee's saying it's baller. I agree. Bon Kwee saying Paul Felder came in on 5 days out of retirement and only trained for a marathon. It was competitive with RDA. Felder only had better cardio training than Moicano. Yeah, Paul Felder had cardio, whereas I don't think that Moicano will. And then the general taking notes as well. So yeah, I think that is about it, Lou. Let everybody know where they can find you on Twitter and the socials and all that, and then also let them know what you have going on. I know you're going live with Monk on Friday, right?
yeah. So just before I do that, I've always wanted to do this on the air. It won't be a regular thing, but oi!
Hey, there you go.
Sorry,
like it.
Weezy. So you can find me at Lou Betcha on Twitter if you haven't already. I give updates on the products, on what we're building. I'm trying to keep everybody posted as much as I can. Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Got the happy hour with Monk and Lou. We do Monk handles the DFS side. I handle the, oh my God, that prop is plus 2,000. I have to bet it, even though it's a terrible idea. That's my side of the coin. I mean, I handle mostly, I give other bets away that are I even do chalk once in a while.
Nice.
Typically I don't, but I do look for like the different angles to bet on that aren't just picks. I look for equity, and with my 20 years of being a degenerate gambler, finally using it for justice.
I like
it.
And
And hopefully in a couple of weeks, you'll have more and more updates. I'll keep doing under the hood with product updates as they come out, and just keep your eyes peeled for the MMA engine on Twitter for updates.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Lou is doing a tremendous job. I mean, words can't express how hard this dude's working, and it's showing off. Like, look at this. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome. So, yeah, guys, you can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. Also, be sure to leave a like on the video. One small like does go a long way. We are trying to build this channel, and we are starting to bring more content on week after week. Make sure you subscribe as well so you don't miss out on that. Check out the socials of MMA Engine, MMA_Engine on both Twitter and Instagram. That is about it. Best of luck, UFC 272. And yeah, good luck. See you guys.